A 1 mana card should maybe scry 2 then draw 1, strong. As an instant, it might scry 1 and draw 1. But what if you could search through your whole deck and find a card this way? Vampiric Tutor is insane and it deserves its own deep dive. Today we will do so. I used to open packs live in these videos, but I found a way to show unpackings in a more delicious way, by combining the unpacking and the deep dive on the big cards that followed. I created Slow Unpacking Evolved. For just 1 black mana you can find your win condition in this way, and through cards like these, games in Commander become insanely fast. Because Commander is the only place Vampiric Tutor is totally legal. I guess there is another place to play 1 copy of it, which is Vintage. This goes to show that this card is insane, because it is any card in your deck for just a mana extra. Oh, and 2 life, but a true vampire would love to pay that price for more power. In fact, I want to dive deeper into that flavor, where the art from Raymond's Swanland is instrumental in making this card as legendary as it is. The massive skull in the center takes all the literal shine, from one source in the top left. It is natural light, making us feel like this moment could be happening in our neighbor's house right now. Our vampiric weird neighbor is sitting with the skull with a knife through the top of it. Either this was an ambush, or it was torture and ritual. I assume the latter. The sockets of the skull are empty and there is blood on the undead hand. In the back we see vials of blood, cobwebs, and in fact we seem to see cobwebs over the whole frame too, giving this art its old vibe. Only after a while did I notice the red tint in the right side of the skull. A fire or a forge is burning up, as if this vampire is making his next weapon, and indeed he is. This vampire might have traded parts of his soul and his own blood, or yours, for the power of his next ultimate weapon, just like you do when you use this card. Because you, with this card in your hand, have the same question. Will you do everything for power? Vampiric Tutor is known, loved and hated. Loved because it gives you omnipotence for 1 mana. Hated because it is one of those cards that often help end the game on turn 3. When you play it you could say, I only use this to get answers. But you have to admit that you could get a combo with it and win. You have to admit that that would be fun, in the short term at least, even if it would lose you your friends. In Viscera Seer from the same set, we see another example of a 1-cost card. This time we get a 1/1, and this one is slightly worse than Vampiric Tutor. But in some scenarios this one could play a part in winning you the game too, because this guy has an ability that costs you no mana that you can use at instant speed, meaning any moment in the game you could sack a creature. The scry part is almost less important here. While it does give you a card selection for long gone creatures, the sack ability enables you to storm off with sacrifice win cons. Viscera Seer also stays in theme because he literally sees the future by using the intestines of others. Or as the flavor puts it, he trusts his gut. I feel like we need to diverge from the black mana a bit, because there are way more ways in which someone could draw a pact. Sometimes that is in all the colors you don't expect it in, as we see in the new set of New Capenna with Falco Spara. This bird offers pacts to other creatures. This is what the whole society of brokers is built upon. They offer promises to others in order to collect the rewards from those pacts and contracts later. You might say that that's weird for a demon, but it is actually very logical. See, on New Capenna the mana is divided in 3s, with band being one of the combinations. Then all the leaders of the families of those color pairings came together and accepted a demonic pact. A sort of truce between angels and Phyrexians was that demons would now rule Capenna. What would a banned demon be about? Well, it would be about protecting others to gain benefit later. We see this in Falco's card, because he casts spells when he offers up a shield counter. Or in other words, he bribes others because he wanted to protect them before. Now back to the 2 colors that demons dabble in more often. One aspect of Vampiric Tutor is the forge with its red tint. It shows us the vampiric need for blood and pain. A very Rakdos thing in fact. One card to embody this is Furnace Celebration. We see goblins looking toward a fire above almost with devoted body language as they waddle towards the fire. This is not a bad thing for goblins. Their philosophy is to experience everything as fast as possible, and this is a way to do that. But we now also see why Vampiric Tutor is not really a red card. Yes, they like pain and would love to use red for their simple-mindedness, but it would never be this way itself. And in the art, we stand behind Svetlin Velenov's goblins, meaning that we are in the furnace too. And we are not Sackfather. Are we like the Blade brand then? Well, this Joker is having his fun with pain by swirling his daggers around, but he forgets the burning blades in his back. Here we see someone lost in his performance, making him deadly, sure, but it is not the calculated taking of power that we see in Vampiric Tutor. It is more a mindless persistence, showing a on-color aspect that is very different from today's card. What about the master of the review? Well, yes, they are more alike our aspect of today, not the aspect of power, but the aspect of reveling. A cruel creativity even. Jury has knives in his back too, but he makes sure that in his theater, the people that suffer the most are the people around him. He loves watching them suffer and grow stronger with every creature sacrificed in his grand plays. His hand is inviting. He lets his underlings come and orchestrates a lot of bloodshed. One problem, his second ability, which is to deal damage when he dies. This is because the stronger Jury is and his review becomes, the bigger the grand finale will be. Jury is preparing for the moment where Lord Rakdos himself will have enough of Jury taking the spotlight that is rightfully the demon's property. So even though the whipping shaman is growing stronger and stronger, he is missing purpose. See, the thing that gives black its place as Tudor color is that they would give everything for power. Usually other colors can tutor too. They can look for faith, like white does, for creatures when you're green, and for instants and sorceries when you're blue. Our resident card is not all evil. It is not profound immortality and wickedness, especially when regarded as a supernatural force. It is not like Ghastly Demise, where Braids, who has turned evil, kills for pleasure, or because she prefers to do so creatively. This card shows us another 1-mana spell that kills a creature, which is insane too. But it is not about full potential. It is about jumping through the hoops of having a big graveyard before killing your prey, and that's not doing everything in your power. No Vampiric Tutor is all about getting what you need, because you value it over everything else. In this case, it is literally whatever you need for your plans, because with black it does not matter what you get, as long as it does what you want or need. Now, depending on what you use that thing for, this card on its own is not evil. It's only as evil as the card you search for. Maybe we should return to Planeswalkers. The Vow cycle is about coding creatures and making them stronger. This seems like a deal of sorts. Vow of Torment even does so through pain. The pain enables this human to become so angry that they gain the keyword menace too. The flavor says, "Peace is a privilege you haven't earned." Weird quote, but it starts to make sense when we know the guy who said this. Tevesh Sat, the snaky guy, was in leagues with Ursa even, which lets us know that he would crave silence. But this craving was there long before that, when his sister was killed, which prompted him to unleash an army of goblins and orcs. Not really something an introvert would do, but okay. His explanation was that he wanted to kill everyone so that there would be silence. He could just have meditated, so I don't think he was really tutoring for the right answer. I mean, would you play 6 demonic tutors to throw out an army of goblins? Or would you have comboed it out? Well, Wizards saw this mistake, and for Commander Legends they changed Tevesh Sat's story to being someone that whispered words to let Dominarian leaders fight each other. Let's just say that history is fake and that Tevesh is the doom of fools. In Sat's will, we see something strange too. Sat is torturing someone, as if he would like to hear the screams. Does no one get that this big dragon just wants silence? Well, it seems like this boy really is not good at moderation. Now, we cannot talk about traits or pacts without talking about the mistress of demonic pacts herself, Lianna Vess, the lady that had tried to save the life of her brother. Still, for all of her efforts in even learning necromantic powers, she accidentally turned her brother into a zombie, one that would turn into the master of many zombies on Dominaria while Lianna was away. All because Lianna was not careful, because she would, as the story puts it, use every tool at her disposal. She would continue to forge 4 or 5, depending on how you look at it, pacts with demons, resulting in her being controlled by these same demons, resulting in a powerful Lianna, but it would cost her the ultimate price, the sacrifice of a friend. You know what else you could do for 1 mana? Untap Staff of Domination. This card is insane because it gives any color the ability to win with infinite colorless mana. Actually, there are many ways to do this nowadays, but still this card used to be awesome because of it. You would untap it, gain infinite life, draw all your cards, and then the tapping would make sure that your opponents had no defenses, while you had all of your creatures untapped to swing in and win. One flaw here with this staff is that it's the Staff of Domination. It only works when you are dominating already, because infinite mana was always going to be powerful. Now, vampirism in Magic is usually not about domination, barring the version from Innistrad where Markov said he wanted to make the world better and then disappeared, leaving a bunch of blood-craving bloodsuckers. No, usually it starts out of the need to save others, where a Baron used a spell to save his son from 1,000 rat bites so that the Sengir bloodline would not fail. Even though his father was ruthless, saving his son is a good thing to do. The problem is that vampires being bloodsuckers need a lot of motivation to stay as coordinated and good-hearted. Young Sengir would turn into a kidnapping slave driver, for example. In the same way, if you were granted the power of a card like Vampiric Tutor, you could say that you would only use it to get removal or something, but it will probably give you a sense of power that is rather unstoppable. If you would have the power to end the game right now, would it not be bad to do so? Maybe just combo off on turn 4 once. It will probably not matter for everyone. I think this card fits our theme of today the best. Demonic Lore shows us a book from Nevinneral, who was an all-powerful leader of Urborg. Here the necromancer learned enough to be able to stave off large quantities of lava mages on his own. Nevin did succumb to the power of a whole volcano and would not let others have the book. For long, we have thought that the book was gone, but now it seems to be literally in someone's hands again. Hopefully not the ones of Josu Vess. The book lets you draw 3 and then lets you lose life for all of that knowledge. This might have been what forced Nevin into being a lich too. Interestingly, we will have to wait and see to learn who has picked up this book and what has become of them. The card itself lets you draw 3, but then you keep losing 2 life for every card in your hand. So either you stay hellbent without cards in hand, or you lose to the same 2 life of Vampiric Tutor over the course of not too many turns. An epitome of greed. And with that, we come to the true creature type of greed. The same type as our master of Urborg, liches, because the modern day equivalent of Vampiric Tutor. Not because of its mechanic, but because of its flavor, is Lich's Mastery, where you would give up all of your life power and transform it into a tool. Not just losing you 2 life, not just losing you 2 life over and over, as if anyone would care about it. No, Lich's Mastery stops you from losing the game for as long as you stay a Lich, even when you get below 0 life. When you gain life, you draw as many. When you lose life, you exile a permanent or a card from your hand or graveyard. In other words, your cards become your life. You are now in many ways undead. This is the true apex of this part of Black's philosophy. Vampiric Tutor's red tint has become the curtains and the candles in Darken's art. It is now everywhere, because where before the damage was only 2 damage, now damage is the only way to kill you and your massive library, and they will need a lot of it. Vampiric Tutor is a design mistake in my opinion. It is a 1 mana instant that lets you search your library for a card. It is in that manner way too powerful. Many people would even forget that you would lose 2 life. Well, that is all of the flavor. You sacrifice your aliveness for the ultimate power, but this design mistake made it as iconic, and in a sense, you are the one that's holding the skull. You could even imagine holding the skull when you look at this art. Will you use this tutor and risk having all your friends against you? Will you only pay with other competitive EDH vampires? Or will you sleeve up this iconic card for a moment where you will need it, like a dusty tome of forbidden magic in your basement? I know how I will decorate my basement next. I hope you enjoyed this too. If I could tutor for anything, it would be your subscription or lovely comments after this video, and with that, I wish you a lovely day.